Hi, I'm Chody Shifter, professional racing driver, and when I'm not racing vehicles, I'm usually sitting on the downstairs toilet or in a motorway services on my smart telephone, sifting through ad after ad of interesting vehicles from caringclassic.com. You should try it too. There's many to choose from, and you can even sell them free on classifieds or off of an auction. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Smith & Sniff is sponsored by caringclassic.com. I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is Smith & Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things.
Before we get cracking the whip on this urgent podcast full of urgent car news, if you can hear banging in the background, it's not my tortoises this time. It's, I think, next door having a new flat roof on their elongated garage. Which I believe was modified 2 owners ago by a man that was dying but wanted to collect Rileys. So
there's an awful lot to unpack here already.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd quickly snick that piece of information in before we get going.
I think if I was on my deathbed, I would probably... There's things I would prioritise over collecting Rileys.
Well,
I think.
You and I both, but for that particular chap... I think he just wanted a load of kestrels and kestrel bits. I don't mean parts of birds.
or strong lager.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe that was his coping mechanism. I mean,
I just want a kestrel.
Yeah.
I just want a kestrel. Oh, all right. Hang on. I'll see. I'll get on Car and Classic, and they've already walked out of the room while he's going. No, just want a lager.
No, just want a fat can. I want a fat can of naughty lager.
A tall can. Very tall can of kestrel soup. What's that about? 8%? Something I don't know.
It's a strong lager.
It's certainly business-like.
It is. It's continental strength, or whatever they used to call it. I don't really know what's the true definition of continental strength lager. I don't know.
I think it used to be 5%, which is around where Stella Artois sits.
Yes,
isn't it? That used to be it, but sort of everything's 5% now. Well, a lot of stuff is.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Even really drinkable, smooth stuff.
The IPA boom of the 2010s and 20s. Because I was. I went to a Wagamama the other day with some friends of ours and our kids. Of course did.
Of course you did, Tyrone.
I didn't realise. They always used to do, Asahi and Kirin and stuff. And so I had a bottle of Asahi.
Yeah.
But my mate had got some interesting-looking IPA in a snazzy big can. And I was like, oh. So I'll have one of those. So when I finished my Asahi, I was like, I'll have one of those. And then... it was only when I was drinking it, I looked and it was sort of like 6.9%. I go, this is not a sort of late afternoon Wagamama strength beer. What the fuck? Wagamama, what are you trying to do to us? Apart from supply delicious Asian fusion food.
Yeah, they're trying to get the heart pulsing so that you'll go, do you know what? I wasn't going to order anymore, but I think I'll order a couple more bowls of noodles and things.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, 3 hours in, you're wiping your chin. 7 more cans have gone across the table. You're like, right, hold.
I'll be honest.
Hold my meetings.
Has anyone ever really bedded in for the afternoon in a Wagamama? I feel like it's not the kind of place you would do that. It's a pretty in-out sort of joint, isn't it, generally?
Yeah,
I only had a second beer because it's like there are a lot of us and the food is taking a while to all arrive. Please remember your food arrives when it's ready, as they always say.
Is that what they say?
They usually say that. Well, you've been to a Wagamama?
I have, but I don't remember that very... It's a sort of line that DJ Khaled would tell you if he was a waiter. Of course the food will arrive when it's ready, because why else would it arrive? You big breathing bassoon.
Please remember, the food will arrive when it's not ready.
I was going to say...
God, is this raw chicken? What the fuck?
Yeah. Please remember that we will just bring out the raw ingredients and we will chop it and do whatever we want with it next to you. And then we'll decide when you should eat it.
Elbowing you in the face while he tries to carpaccio this lump of beef.
Exactly.
So, I can't remember where we're going with that. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, let's bring this back onto cars. I was driving my Insight yesterday down to a guy that you might be familiar with called Gordon Murray. And And
Hi,
I know. Listen, guys, and I had the radio on, and Glory Hole Estefan came on. The Rhythm Is Going to Get You. And did you know in that song, because I've not heard it before, it's got a car revving in the background.
Has it?
Yeah, the rhythm is going to get you. It sounds like a supercar is revving, and it happens quite a lot in it. Now,
does it?
Now, in the time it's taken me to get home last night from Gordon Murray's and go to bed and wake up and do this podcast, I haven't investigated whether there's any detail on that car. But maybe hawk-eared listeners might be able to help out here. And it might be good fodder for your boring car trivia book, number 4, which I know you're working on, Richard.
Yes.
So,
I mentioned this on the socials last week because the previous weekend, my wife and I were painting our kitchen, not a euphemism, and she, just out of nowhere, she went, "Can I ask you a question? How come you've not written a book for a while?" And I was like, "Don't know. Just sort of haven't." She was like, "Oh, you should."
Too busy podcasting with an absolute stroker.
Yeah,
every
but
Monday.
then I've got loads of notes for a sort of theoretical boring car trivia 4, and some stuff properly written out, and then just some stuff where looking back at my notes, some of it is almost so abstract that I can't figure out what I was trying to say.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I know. Just be something, and it'll sort of say Montego brown bear hat ? And you're like, what? I don't even know where to start with that. So I've been sifting through my notes and plucking out the good ones and double checking them and looking up stuff. And so last week I suddenly went, fuck it, I'm going to crack on. And then I mentioned on social media, partly because if I mention on social media, then other people know. So I've got to get on with it then. Because
so you feel pressured.
What's happened to it? Yeah, so I kind of use Twitter as a kind of sort of self-imposed deadline, because as people listening to this will know, particularly because of some of the shite music that I've put up on Smith & Sniff SoundCloud and YouTube, that I am prone to procrastinating and doing things that aren't strictly my job. So
it's okay. I can relate, because I do the same. I just wasn't as vocal about it because I knew that people that are close to me would wade in and go, of course you don't, you absolute loser. You waste loads of time doing things that aren't important, and then you realise you've missed an important thing that you should have done. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
I'll do a little call to action. If you have a piece of boring car trivia that you'd love to share in return for a name check in the book, get in touch. hello@smithandsniff.com. Don't worry about fully sourcing it and providing evidence. Just even a little tip off, just a tiny little. I'm sure I was once told that the Honda Legend could go at 400 miles an hour in reverse. Just send it through, and I will do the research. I double check everything, all the facts. I try and check them as much as I can, so that everything is as accurate as it can be. So you don't have to do the donkey work. But if you've just got some vaguely remembered bit of information that you think could be worthy of putting in a very dull book of car trivia, then please do get in touch.
I might.
smithandsniff.com.
I think I might think of some of my own to send to you.
Why don't you do a rival book, but it's all just made up car trivia?
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'd like to know the root of, and I suspect it's American, but I don't know how long ago, the root of the overuse of the word super lately. I'm getting a bit pissed off with it, if I'm honest. Super cool, super excited.
Super excited about this, yeah.
Super pumped.
What a super car.
Well,
really, it's just a Clio.
Well, that's right. So, on the basis of the fact that I'm a bit supered out from people messaging and talking to me in that way, I wondered whether this wave of it in the UK came about through Americanisms, or is it the Ferrari Superfast coming about?
But the Ferrari Superfast,
yeah.
I always just think of Matchbox cars.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had Superfast written on the bottom
and
on the box.
They had a Superfast range, which I think had different wheels. Or
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot about the Superfast.
I can't take this Ferrari Superfast seriously, because that word automatically means toy to me.
Superfast toy, Ferrari.
Well, that's the thing. Ferrari Superfast, you just go, wow, I bet if you got it onto like a wooden floor, it would really zoom into a skirting board.
Parquet flooring, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. The thing about the Ferrari is, if I know there've been old Ferraris that are called Superfast, but I just think it should have been called, I don't know, really quick. Just would have been a little bit better. Or
it's odd they didn't do it in Italian, because I bet it would have sounded great in Italian.
actually, yeah. What is super fast in
I'll have a look.
Italian? Yeah, please. Let's just
translate. Because
translate
super fast. Oh, well, I mean, maybe this is why they didn't use it, because it sounds a bit Alfred. Super fast in Italian is super veloce. Which
Of course,
sound great.
veloce. So Alpha's
Yeah.
used that for moons and moons.
It's funny, though, isn't it, when you think about what Italian
Veloce.
car names mean, that if you are an Italian speaker, because you are, for example, at Italian, that cars are not sexy sounding. Your average Italian street scene, oh, look, there's a Fiat Point, there's a Fiat One, there's an Alfa Giulia Fast. It's just, it doesn't quite have the same sort of romance to it as it does to the ears of a non-Italian speaker. You get to enjoy the music of the words rather than what they actually mean, which is, in fact...
Yeah. They
go,
don't.
oh, look, a Fiat Tipo 16 Valvole, what a wonderful sounding car. And you go, oh, look, the Fiat Type 16 valve, how exciting, if you're Italian. So I don't...
There's a Ducati called a Desmo.
Lucky.
What's
it called? The Desmodromo.
Desmodromo Sedici. I think so. Which Desmo Sedici again just sounds like a crooner from the '60s. I'm going to say, with a very silky voice and a neck scarf, a permanent neck scarf, even when the shirt is unbuttoned a long way, still has the silky neck scarf on. Don't let him look at your wife, because Desmo Sedici will have you.
Yeah. Oh God, let's go to that restaurant. No, don't, because it's the night they've got Desmo Sedici on stage, and he comes around the tables with his shirt like you can see his belly button basically.
Oh, of course you can. You can see the lot basically. He's wearing.
Hang on, is Desmo Dromo is the valves, isn't it? They use desmodromic valves, but what is Desmo?
Sedici. I think it's a number of valves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Desmo Sedici. Hello, please welcome on stage everyone's favourite, lovely, fresh in from the Algarve. It's Desmo Sedici. You bastard.
Takes one last really, really deep drag on a JPS.
He does.
Strength.
He kicks.
All right, I've got to go and do my singing. Hang on. I'll
He kicks
just do
the stand down. He kicks the stand down on a sort of average-sized motorbike that should really be a little bit bigger.
Strangers in the night, exchanging glances.
He points.
Thank you very much. I'm Ben Desmo Sedici.
Desmo Sedici, yeah. The Desmo Sedici Stradale as well is a Ducati. So I'm pretty sure it's a 4-stroke V4 race bike. I should know this because Shaky Burns told me all about the Desmo Sedici.
Ah.
Oh, you filthy Desmo Sedici, you.
It's like, do you know the car designer Trevor Fiore? Do you familiar with him? Who he was, sort of in the 70s. He worked at Citroën at some point. He did the Alpine A310 rather. Sorry, the 70s one. He did a lot of cars, and then he worked for I can't remember, Bertoni or someone, I think. But he was from Yorkshire. He's from South Yorkshire. And his real name was something just quite normal, like, Trevor Steele or Trevor Brown or something. But I think his mum was Italian. Her maiden name was Fiore. And when he decided to become a car designer, he was like, I need to have, like, better sounding name in that.
Continental
so
vibes.
Work at, like, one of them fancy, Pininfarina and that. And
Designer races.
He called himself Trevor Fiore instead, which does sound like a club singer.
It does, doesn't it?
For eats.
What was the name of the designer the design house that did all of those Triumphs? I always forgot the Triumph 2000.
Oh, Michelotti.
Stag. That's right, Michelotti. Yeah.
Underrated.
Yeah, I love the Mark II Triumph 2000. I think it's
That's
such
so weird. I was thinking about that car this morning.
What?
I don't. This is very weird, but it just popped into my head for no reason, and all I could think of, and I was like feeding the dog and getting a coffee when I got up this morning, and all I could think.
And
of
that wasn't a euphemism either.
No, none of those are euphemisms. But I was just like that car in its day. You just look at it and go, managing director.
Yeah,
it's got this. It's executive before that word was overused.
Yeah. I think it's
what a sophisticated
fantastic
car.
I love the front end. It's brilliant.
Yeah, front and back, because I love the way that they're sort of mirrored in a kind of the design is.
They're almost like a fish mouth, aren't they? They've got like a fish mouth front end, and inside the fish's mouth are the lights and the grille. It just kind of works.
It's one of those cars, because you look at the original Triumph 2000, and it's just not as good. Michelotti really pulled it out for the facelift.
Yeah, they did. I think the first one's a little bit dowdy, is the right word, maybe, whereas the second one is svelte.
It's amazing, because the centre section is all the same, but it just looks so much better. You're right. The first one is dowdy, isn't it? It's just, but also I think the first one looks a bit prim and sort of early 60s-ish, before the 60s had got going, before the 60s became sexy.
Yes.
And then the 60s got sexy, and Triumph went, better try and make the 2000 a bit sexier. So and then I don't know when that facelift happened, but it's so good.
It spent the summer working on the beach and maybe lost a couple of shirt buttons. That's what we're saying, isn't it? Here, I think it definitely did. Yeah.
What year? Hang on, I'm going to look this up as well.
This is the bit where the listeners go,
when did the Triumph 2000
amazing.
get sexy? 1969, yes.
Of course it did. So,
yes.
so the year that the Capri burst its shirt buttons onto, there were buttons all over every dance floor. There were shirt buttons everywhere, and nobody put them back on.
The year that many of Ford's clothes became a lot silkier was 1969.
And you could definitely see what side men dressed in their trousers. Because it was, and if you couldn't, they'd put one leg up on the tyre while they were talking to you, to emphasise that they definitely were dressing that way.
I'm just looking at pictures of Triumph 2000s,
and
of
just
course
so
2500s.
Oh yes,
great car.
Yeah, and not expensive, not a valuable car.
No,
same as a Rover P6. It's the same. It's that I think those two cars, they're great for many reasons, but just not expensive.
Let's have a look. I'm on Car and Classic.
Stop it!
Let's have a little shifty. I'm going
stop
2500.
It with your Car and Classic catnip you.
And they are. I can't find any. What the frick?
Maybe I'll get my garage extended when I'm on death's door and just buy a lot of Triumph 2000s, but not a Mark 1. Has to be a Mark 2.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, it's POA. Well, now this should be illegal.
Yeah.
There's only one. There's not many for sale. In fact, I can't see
what it should be. What POA should stand for what? Piss off asking.
And put the price on the ad.
Was price on ad. Is that what it should? That's what POA should be. So you have to read the ad all the way to the bottom, and in tiny caps it says
it's $6,900. Yeah.
POA.
Oh, I can't. I see, because this one, so it's going through auction. Auction.
Yes.
The bidding starts from €1,000. Oh, it's in the Netherlands.
Are you going to buy a Triumph 2000 from the Netherlands? Wow.
Left-hand drive. It's a lovely colour of blue, though. It looks great. Oh, look at this.
I know, guys.
Director.
If you had to, if it was in my left hand is a P6 keys, in my right hand Triumph 2000 Mark II keys. Engine of your choice.
Oh wow! Well,
come on.
No, because then I'm going to go V8, because I'm going to have the.
You have to go for the P6.
The Rover 3.5
with the Buick and all that motor and all that.
A few years ago, do you remember, probably, God, like 20 years ago now, but they auctioned off a load of the exhibits from the Gaydon Car Museum because they didn't have enough space.
I do remember that.
And
Yeah.
I went to the actual auction to see what was going down.
Oh my gosh,
And
I would love to have done that. I would have been
it was
quivering.
nuts. There was like someone bought half a Freelander. It was, and it went for quite strong money considering it was half a Freelander. You know, a sectioned model of a Freelander.
Yeah. Oh, a cutaway.
Yeah, cutaway. That's the word I was looking for. And there were a couple of cutaway models that went for sort of, you know, the money that you thought you could buy a whole one for that. But somebody bought a prototype of a Triumph 2000 with a Stag V8 in it.
Okay,
And
now
I
we're
just
talking.
thought, well, I mean, it didn't work, apparently, and it had no glass, I seem to remember, for some reason. It had been just stuck in a storage unit. But it was bought by a Triumph specialist garage in Scotland, because we were talking to the guy afterwards, and he was sticking it on a trailer, and he was like, I'm going to get this all fixed up, I'm going to get it running. And I wonder if he ever did, because I just thought, wow, I know that Stag V8 has a bad rep, but I think people have got on top of a lot of the problems now, haven't they? They know how to, as long as you look after them. But imagine
That would be
a
good.
2000 with, well, it would be a 3000, wouldn't it? Where you'd have to have the badges specially made.
Oh,
Stag
stop
V8,
it.
Because the Stag V8 is a nice sounding V8.
It is actually. Is it all aluminium? Or did I make that up? Or the head?
It is.
The heads are aluminium, maybe.
I mean, the Rover V8's all aluminium, isn't it? But I don't know if hang on, let's have a look.
But you are right. The
V8.
Triumph Slag has got a very good sounding burble. So if it was
Oh, no,
V8,
block is cast iron. This just in. Cast iron
Okay.
block out your head. Single overhead cam per bank.
news just in. Well, I know we could wheeze, we could moan, we could groan about Mark II Triumph 2000s.
Yeah.
For the rest of this podcast, if we wanted to, and I'm sure many people would like us to do that, but we're not going to.
No.
So I'm at the time that this is going out, this podcast is going out. I will have actually just been to my first auto jumble in many years. I've been bullied into it by my brother. On the proviso of some very short, sharp WhatsApp messages, because that's the way my brother rolls, and it was basically. You must come to the Newark Auto Jumble. We leave very early in the morning. You'll see loads of bad hair. That was, and the main attracting feature for me going is I'm going to see a lot of, in inverted commas, auto jumble hair. And auto jumble hair, I said to my brother when I had a beer with him the other night, I said, what's the definition of auto jumble hair? He went, oh God, you wouldn't believe it, Johnny. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. He said, honestly, he said some of it's graphite coloured candy floss in high wind. That was that was his first description. Yeah, he said some of it's like a really bad Angel Delight that's trying to be sort of pinned onto someone's. Tried to pin a load of Angel Delight onto someone's head. He said you will not believe the predatory mentality of modern day auto jumblers.
Really?
Well, because they're internet refusers, aren't they? Basically.
Oh, yeah.
So you could just sit at home in the comfort of your own home, spend time with your friends and family, and sell that Triumph 2000 headlight switch.
Yeah.
For 12 quid.
Yeah.
But no, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to put it in the back of a van or a mate's estate car, travel a long way, pay to put a pitch up. It will be raining and it will be cold and dismal. You're going to lay it all out. You're going to sit in a chair and get really, really cold. And then you're basically get started upon by a couple of guys with candy floss hair who point at that switch and go, I'm going to take this now off you, cash, 4 quid. And you've gone, no, it's 12. I might take a little offer on that, let's say a tenner, but you've gone in so savagely low, I'm almost offended. And my brother said, that's what happens. And you're sat on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. for the privilege of that. So he's really sold it to me.
Yeah,
and
great.
that's why I'm going. So I'm going to go. He's picking me
Well-
up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday.
Next week you'll have to report back. But I'm wondering, you know, we've said before that American cars and coffee events always seem to start at 4 a.m. and I can't quite figure out why. But is this the British equivalent? Auto jumble.
Yes. It's maybe that's why Auto Jumble Hair exists, because you start so early you don't even look in the mirror. You simply
there's no
set
time
your
for a
alarm.
shower. You've got to get out the door and get on the road because you live 400 miles from where the auto jumble is happening, and you need a starter motor for a Morris Oxford urgently. So.
My brother said also you have to, one of the unwritten rules is you have to brush your teeth with either seaweed or dog's mess before you go.
Well, all right, I tell you what, here's a challenge for you. Do you think that you could spend a year dressing only in clothes that you've bought at Auto Jumbles?
What is it? What, I mean, I could do. What is it? And people won't say anything, or I could do it with conviction.
Just, I don't know. I mean, that's part of the experiment, isn't it? But just
I
go.
used to buy.
Johnny Smith's here again.
I have bought Auto Jumble clothes.
Have you?
Yeah, mostly sort of, you know, like retro, like vintage race jackets and stuff. I've got a little stash of vintage race jackets I've acquired over the years. I don't wear them so much now, but in my 20s I wore them a lot.
Because some of them were like that they do have. Someone will be selling new clothes, won't they? Usually at an Auto Jumble.
Oh, what you mean?
I was more visualising the sort of second-hand market. Go,
there'll be loads
here again. He's wearing that visibly oil stained
Silkaline jacket.
Esso Lubricants t-shirt that he always seems to wear at the moment. I don't know. I think he's doing an Auto Jumble clothing challenge or something.
There's a new old stock stash of unsold Tiger Tokens t-shirts. Do you remember the Tiger Tokens t-shirts?
Yeah,
which just had the face of a tiger on a plain white tee.
Yeah, good t-shirt.
So I might get a deal where I go and there's a guy selling. He's got 12 of them still in the plastic packets, and he's like, "Listen, I want to get rid. I don't want these to go back in my Astra. So £3 a piece. Let's do this."
I'm just looking at. Why am I looking at Esso retro t-shirts on eBay?
I don't know. You're bad.
Oh bloody hell! But look at this.
But you always get the people, you know, the people that sell brand new cheap tools and stuff like that. And they're quite good. Some of that stuff's really good. You can get a very good, you know, telescopic little magnet in case you drop a bolt down the side of an engine bay and all that stuff.
Yes.
But they will sell functional clothes, should we say. They'll sell functional clothes.
I think shoes is where you might struggle.
Yes.
Maybe some steel toe cap boots.
Rigger boots.
Okay.
You'll get riggers.
Rigger boots.
You'll get riggers. And, of course, if I wear riggers all year round, people will think that I'm a knockoff Ant Anstead that doesn't do enough gym work. So that's not going to work in my favour.
Poor man's Ant Anstead.
Unfortunately, I will look like a crap Ant Anstead.
The great thing about if you really immerse yourself in the only dressing from an Auto Jumble challenge is that at some point, inevitably, you'd be invited to a black tie do. And you'd have to go in rigger boots. And I think probably just like overalls, maybe some faded but once dark grey overalls.
How much notice would I need that I'm going to this event? Just need to know before.
I'm going to say that, you know, no offence, but it's been a cancellation, so you're a last-minute booking.
Oh, that's
we've got a table at the Grosvenor for, I don't know, it's the International, you know, Petrol Station of the Year Awards.
Oh, gosh.
Actually, we'd like you to present an award, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh,
when
really?
It's tomorrow night. Oh, but there's not going to be an Auto Jumble between now and tomorrow night. Okay, all right. Well, you know, just black tie. Just turn up in black tie, and there's you. And you've got faded grey overalls with an Alvis badge on them for some reason, and rigger boots. But
so do you know the reason why I asked how much notice we would be given? It's because I can't necessarily change the clothes I'll be turning up in, but I could change my state of svelte. So I thought if I go, I could almost do a kind of, you know, Magic Mike style thing where I know I've got to wear stained Elvis, dead man's Elvis overalls, with riggers. But if I really own it and I unbutton quite a large portion of the top end of the overalls, and I'm ripped because I got told that I'm doing this thing in 3.5 months' time. So it's like, right, I'm going for it. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get really fit and ripped for it. But I'm going to wear a neck scarf as well, so I look a little bit sort of hipster garage mechanic. I'm going for the kind of... I'm trying to think. I'm going for the Bicester Heritage kind of heartthrob look. Whatever.
Bicester Heritage half.
Yeah, the BHH. You know the rules.
But when you take what appears to be your neck scarf off, it's left oil prints on your neck because, in fact, it's a rag that you've also used to wipe your fingers on while you were dipping the oil.
Oh yeah, I've just taken
one of your Elvises.
Well, I just had to use it to tightly grip an oil filter to remove it because when you've got slippery fingers, you just can't get them off, and they're supposed to be hand tight only, but nobody ever does that. So I've had to use that rag to get a real purchase, and then I've just thrown it over my shoulder like a chef.
Well, it's hard to trust hand tightened, isn't it?
It's hard to trust hand tight, but then the curse of the air tool, you see, comes along, and people talk these bad boys up with air tools, and then you're doomed. You're absolutely doomed.
Yeah.
So I see my list doesn't have any of these. I wrote down a couple of things when I was driving back from Gordon Murray's last night. And I know, sweet guy. I pulled up outside in the Insight, right, and he actually came out and he went, "Is that yours?"
I meant to ask. You went in the Insight deliberately, didn't you? Because you knew it would get him juiced up.
I went in the Insight because A, I needed to give it a run anyway, but B, I thought Gordon will dig that, even though it's very unclean at the moment. Gordon will dig that. And he was all over it. He was all over it, and he said, I've been thinking of buying one of these for so long. But he said...
Really?
And this is before we started filming. He actually said, "Do you mind later, before you go, do you mind if I sit in it?" And I know, it's so cool. And I went, yeah, absolutely. And of course, it was an absolute mess inside because I just put all my stuff on the passenger seat, early start, loads of bits
so that's
and bobs.
a long drive. So did it smell a bit butcher's shop in there?
Wasn't guffy, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Just worth checking.
Although, so I did apologise for the sort of the fact there's a coffee cup strewn and the bits of wrappers and a packet of wasabi peas in the centre console thing. But apart from that, so he got in it after we filmed, and he sat there. He went, "You're absolutely right." He said, "This is really good for a tall person. This is no problem." I said, "Yeah, you fit in it comfortably, and the seat's not even all the way back because he's used to backing the seat all the way."
Yeah.
So I think that I could see the light bulb in his head. He's like, "Right, that's going to be added to the list. He's going to get one." Because he was like, what sort of value are there? I said, "You could buy an absolutely mint one for probably 10. Like really nice one."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay." I said, "And you can buy an average one for about 3. So pays your money, makes your choice." And he may or may not have added it to his post-it in his back pocket.
Yeah.
But, which I do. Every time I see him now, I ask him how many post-its he's got in his back pocket. He averages 2.
He doesn't open his jacket and he's just got post-its all down the lining.
But honestly,
like
Richard,
cheap
they're so beautifully written. His writing's very small, or his bullet points are very small.
Yeah.
So you must have a quality biro in order to get that.
I wonder what pen he does use.
Yeah,
is he right or left-handed?
Oh gosh, that's a really good point.
I mean,
I'm
he
not
feels like he
sure.
should be in our gang, in the lefty gang. Because,
I hope he's in our gang.
We like to believe ourselves to be a bit special, and obviously he's a very special man. But I wonder.
Yeah, no, he was. I'll ask him. He was very, very.
Send him a text message.
Sweet guy.
Are you left-handed? Totally random. Where are you going with this, Johnny? I'm quite busy.
This is
there's a lovely insight here on Car and Classic for $5,000 or just under. It's 130,000 miles, but as you know, they wear it well.
They do wear it very well.
It looks really good. And also, in the first picture, you can see there's another Insight in the back of shot, which rather suggests this is someone who's at Insight enthusiast.
Yeah.
So we're not going to forward that to Gordon.
I will do.
2 on here at the moment. And,
I told him that I've got mine kind of penciled in to have some mods done because I'd taken the cover off the back, the hybrid cover where the boot space is.
Yeah.
So you can see all of its high voltage guts. And I said obviously that should all be clad, but I'm having adjustable regen fitted and a plug-in conversion.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm going for it.
Interesting.
Well, it's worth it because it's such a damn good car to use and drive. So I drove. I've got the boring stats, but I think I told you last week that I did. I averaged 73 mpg on the drives I did last week, and I used half a tank of fuel and did 460 miles or something like that. And the tank is a 35 litre tank, so it's only a small tank. And then driving down to off of Gordon Murray Automotive and all that, I got 79 to the gallon.
Bloody hell.
And it's just had some new tyres fitted, which might have helped it. I don't really know. I don't know.
Ooh,
but
maybe.
Well, they're low rolling resistance, that sort of like hybrid kind of centric tyres and all that. And just have it. It's just glorious. Absolutely glorious. There's another insight here on eBay for $8,000, and it does look very tidy. It's an automatic, which my spidey sense tells me it means it's an import. Yes, they were all Manuel's UK cars, weren't they? They were all Manuel's, and I think if you look at the back, the UK cars had a tunnelled in fog light in the rear bumper because they had to fit that, whereas the imports will have it stuck underneath like a dog's testicle. Well, actually, this one, I think it's fresh from Japan, has nothing. Oh. I hate it when they just dangle down a fog light. It's so messy, doesn't it? It is. It's awful. Just looks like a caravan shop smash and grab, doesn't it? But surely these days, could you not get like little LED jobby? Yeah, you can. What I'm doing with the Tokyo Taxi is, because that's had a dog's testicle put on, you can relocate it and take out one of the reversing lights and use an LED. Sweet. And it's totally flush, can't be seen. Totally. Lovely, discreet. And the best thing is, completely legal. They can't touch you for it. They can't. Feds can't touch you for it, Johnny. Sweet car, authentic to the original design. No cheap, nasty bracketry. No. Lovely. Now, here's one for you. Just an idle thought that I had the other day. I realised I have never owned a 5-cylinder car. Have you? Yes. Yes, I have. And I've owned my Audi Coupe. In fact, before the Honda Insight? I think it was. I daily drove my 1983 Coupe GT, which I loved. Man, I loved that car, and the engine was to die for. It was, and the transmission. I've said it's still one of my favourite gearboxes. Actually, it's a really nice gearbox. Mm. And I promised myself one day I'll get a Quattro. But I bought, I don't know if it counts, I bought my mum and dad a Volvo T5 when I first started working on fifth gear. Second hand. I'm not wealthy, folks. Didn't buy them a new one. It was actually quite high mileage. But, and that was, they wanted an auto, but of course it was a 5-cylinder turbo. So that was a nice 5-cyl. Yeah, well, that counts. They're really lovely. We used to have you know what? I was just reminded, we used to have a pool car, a very odd choice of pool car when I was on Revs magazine. I think it was an ex-fleet company car that's, I don't know, a disgraced manager will have had to have handed back before they lost their job. And it was a Golf Mark IV V5. Oh. Do you remember the V5? Yeah. Because, I mean, what very obscure car. It was a very, very odd car. And I don't think it was very fast, but it was torquey and it sounded lovely, but it was thirsty from memory. So it was a sort of like average of many worlds kind of motor. Yeah, yeah. But I don't know if any listeners have got experience of the Golf V5. And, of course, if you're in Britain, the V5 is a registration document number. Yes. So I know someone who had one. Really? Yeah, one of my brother's mates had one, which I think I seem to remember they slightly mocked him at the time and went, were you hoping for a VR6, but you fell short? Because it was such a weird, obscure car. And I seem to remember that he didn't have it maybe that long because of the thirst. I think it was a thirsty machine, but also like quite unnecessary when you think of all the other engines they already had. I know.
I mean, it was peak PX madness, wasn't it? Where it was just like all these dead end engine configurations that he was insisting they engineered because they could, just to flex on other car makers. The other car makers were going, "Yeah, we're good, thanks. I think we don't need a narrow angle V5 in our range. So you keep doing you, and we'll just do us. Thanks, all the same." But, yeah,
we just add a turbo.
Now, I liked that engine in the Seat Toledo. Do you remember that?
Oh gosh, Richard.
That was a lovely car. I did some big miles in a Toledo V5. I went up to Scotland in it for a wedding, and it was...
This is sounding so Partridge, isn't it?
It is a bit, isn't it? Yeah.
That is
Drove
very...
to Scotland for a wedding.
In a Toledo
got out,
5-cylinder.
Felt like I just got out of bed. It was that relaxing. No, it was actually... That was when I was... it's like I was a researcher on Old Top Gear, and I suddenly realised it was probably just before payday, and I put so much fuel in the Toledo V5 that on the way back...
Well, you became overdrawn.
Yeah, my card got declined.
Did it?
Basically because of the fucking Toledo V5. Well, also the very expensive hotel in St Andrews that I'd stayed in for the wedding obviously had cleaned me out a bit, but mostly it was just like fucking another tank full of unleaded into the Toledo. And on the way back to Birmingham, I was suddenly like, "Sorry, sir, your car's been declined." Thankfully, I think I had a credit card I could use, but it was a bit like, fuck it, because I was thinking... I remember driving that Toledo and going, "This is great. I love this car. Wow, maybe I should get one of these." I sort of had when you spend a long time in a car and you develop a bit of a bond with it. And
absolutely.
Find yourself thinking you should get one.
Even if it's just a one...
car journalist problem. But.
Well, even if it's just a one single memorable journey. There's certain journeys I remember of cars like that where I think... Was it like a holiday romance? Do I really want to own it? Was it as good as I was thinking it was? I don't know, because I did a trip in a Alpha 156 GTA, and I still have a real thing for 156 GTAs because of that journey.
I didn't much like the 156 GTA. Like, I did like it, but I always thought you could feel how that it had quite a sort of heavy engine up front. I think it's because it used to grind its sump.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nosy diver. Dirty little nosy diver. As I'm doing that, I'm doing a shoulder dip. Are you dipping right. You dipping one shoulder like a sort of Cockney? I'm doing the neck neck out.
Doing a turkey neck, yeah.
I'm doing a slight transit turkey neck.
A cockerel neck.
But I'm dipping my left shoulder as I'm doing it, like I'm going into a bit of sort of bodily understeer. Right, yeah. Bit of body understeer.
I had one of those the other day because I suddenly remembered the Vauxhall VXR8, which I had as a long-termer from Evo for 6 months, and I loved it.
Wow.
And so I suddenly went, I wonder how much VXR8s are these days. Not that I absolutely do not need a VXR8, and they're holding their money weirdly, considering how niche they are, but I guess probably that's part of it. If you want one, you want one, and you'll pay, seemingly, 20 grand for one. Well, that's what people are asking.
I think since they definitely stopped making them and they're definitely never coming back.
Yeah.
And they didn't sell that many in Britain, did they? So I think the ones that are around, people suddenly go, "Oh, this is a good thing." I know someone that bought one a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Actually, yeah, a chap whose car cave I featured on the Late Break Show. He has a very close friend who had a Monaro and had the engine destroyed by somebody who said they'd rebuilt it and didn't really do a very good job. Took him to court. And long story short, got some compensation, sold the Monaro to someone that was going to put it right, and decided to wipe the slate clean and buy a VXR8. And they've got a very, very nice black VXR8.
Oh.
Yeah, they are cool.
They're nice. I don't know, that's the thing. I was like, oh, I love that car. And then I ended up looking up my old reports on it to find out. I was like, did I love it? I'm pretty sure I loved it, but maybe now I'm just imagining. Well, I did. It's very charismatic car.
That will have made you overdrawn, fuel money-wise, right?
It was, yes, it was quite punchy. In fact, in one of my reports for Evo, I'd forgotten I'd done this, but I zeroed the trip computer before I drove across London from where I lived at the time to the old Top Gear office. I think it was 8 miles, but obviously it's through city traffic.
Yeah.
And it did 10 point something miles per gallon.
Oh, gosh, that's sinful. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
I mean, I swear my Range Rover does better than that. So it's like, it's that small block It's not at its happiest crawling through town, but
no,
it's
doing nothing.
It's a lovely engine. Since we're talking about cars, shockingly,
Yeah, be careful.
we should
Tread carefully.
I feel like we should just at least pay lip service to the new Lamborghini Aventador replacement that I can't quite.
The Lenovo or the revolving?
The Revolto, yes, the revolving.
I can't. I only found out about it last night because I think it got released when I was with Gordon Murray. I might have told you I was with Gordon Murray yesterday. So, yeah. What?
I love the way you keep bringing things back to Gordon Murray.
Yeah.
So it's raining at the moment. Yeah, just funny. Actually, it was raining when I was with Gordon Murray as well. Yeah. Hey, did you ask him if he hates the Volvo 760 still?
I did. I asked him while he was driving me in something, and he looked over at me and sort of, and half of his mouth smiled, and the other half stayed dead straight. And because there was a too long a pause for me, and I went, I believe you said it in 1983.
For context. Johnny messaged me and went, I'm with Gordon Murray, or I'm going to be. Have you got any questions for him? And I was in the middle of something else, I couldn't think of anything, and then suddenly it popped into my head. I think in about 1983, he was quoted in Autocar as raging about the Volvo 760, which was new at the time, and how heavy and big it was, and how it was obscene, and it was the worst car in the world, and that people shouldn't be making cars like that anymore. And that was in 1983, and which is also, it's like he was still the designer, chief engineer, whatever, everything for Brabham F1. So it's like it wasn't his job to rage about the Volvo 760.
No,
but somehow Autocar had got some time with him, and he'd torn a strip off the new Volvo. Well, so I was just curious to know. So I said, Johnny, can you ask him if he still hates the Volvo 760? So did he not? He didn't.
He
go,
he just kind of went.
Hate him, John.
No, he just kind of went. Oh, right, okay. And then I quickly followed. I followed it up by saying, "You don't own any Volvos, do you?" And he went, "No, I don't." And I went, "Is that because they're too heavy?" And he said, "Well, they're just they're just too big." He said they're all too big.
Well, so he's sticking to his principles then.
I think so.
Why he hated the 760 is why he's indifferent to Volvos today as well, I guess. But
mind you, everything's big now. Volvos aren't necessarily a big car anymore. It's just everything else.
Well, this is after I'd sent you that question, I thought, I bet if you see a 760 now amongst modern cars, it looks really wee. And
I bet it does.
How the world's changed.
Yep.
Well, good. I'm glad you asked. I was also interested that Gordon Murray has sort of like independent suspension for the mouth, that he can smile on one side and it doesn't affect the other side. So that's
he did manage. I don't know how he did that, but
no anti-roll bars across his
no anti-smile bar,
fully independent, side to side of the mouth.
It was it was impressive, and we had a sweet time, and
sweet time coming soon to the Late Break Show. I presume.
Within a matter of, say, 36 hours of you listening to this podcast.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Anyway, the Lamborghini Revulsion, so replacing the Aventador, it's got, I think, 1,001 horsepower. That's PS, I presume it probably is. But
and it's a plug-in.
It's a plug-in hybrid. So it's got two electric motors on the front wheels, and then another electric motor sort of integrated into the double-clutch gearbox. And then it's got a 6.5 litre V12, and you add all the outputs of those together, and you get somewhere around 1,000 horsepower. And I'm really struggling to give a shit about this.
It's interesting you should say that. Somebody did mention that looks-wise, it's not a radical departure from the Aventador. Now, the Aventador was always it still looks like a spaceship. So it hasn't. I don't think it's aged particularly. Not like the Gallardo did. I remember the Gallardo was a great design, but I think they held on to it for a really long time. So I think the Aventador is a great looking car. They haven't had the guts or the need to kind of rip it all up and start again. Lots of people are going on about the fact that it's an NA motor still.
Yeah.
Which it's an NA motor still, and I think it's a completely open. The engine is open to the elements at the back.
Is it? I don't. Yes, maybe so. It's certainly you can see it. I don't know if there's a glass cover.
I don't think it's got a piece of glass or plastic or anything.
No, which is a sort of the trick they've taken from the Veyron, and haven't they? That had a, and so
I think it's because
when it rains, if you've been driving it for any time, then water pings and immediately turns to steam off the back of it. Which is quite exciting.
So what they've done then is, previous Lamborghinis, the owners were used to them going on fire, but now what they're going to do is it's going to look like it's on fire, but it's just steaming. So it's okay.
It's okay, mate. It's just steam. Oh, no, wait, it's not. It's actually on fire again. Good.
So you have to hang around and keep looking back to go, is it on fire or is it just warm?
So the Countach to Diablo to Murcielago to Aventador, this always feels like there was quite a change in style. And they were all very exciting, very dramatic.
Diablo, yeah.
And this, I just feel like it's kind of like someone's asked one of those AI programs to design a Lamborghini. It's all a bit predictable.
It is predictable. I do.
I mean, it's very dramatic in its own right, but it's sort of... And somebody I know pointed out that there were some pictures of a white one, and it just looks a bit like that current Corvette, which I think is a bloody awful looking car. So it's... no, I'm not enjoying it at all. And I just don't... Lamborghini... Because a friend of ours, who's a car journalist, went to a preview of this car in Italy, and he said... It's there's some serious tech going on here, and they've really put a lot into it, and it's going to be a proper serious bit of kit to drive. I was thinking, who gives a toss? It's not why people buy it. It's an absolute wallets like Andrew Tate buy big Lamborghinis.
Wallets.
It could drive like a fucking Daewoo Mapesy for all anyone cares. It doesn't matter. It's not for that. It's for being a Lamborghini and making a big noise and being bright yellow, and it's sort of it's doing that, but there's nothing interesting in the design. It's just sort of a bit Lamborghini by numbers for my mind. Anyway, that's why I'm struggling to give a shit about it.
I think you might be right, but then again, I might have said this a few times. There's very few supercars now which are genuinely exciting because there's a lot of sameness going on, and I feel like they're more and more appealing to the sort of type of crowd which is not me. So
no,
whether that's just because I'm a silver-haired, balding guy in his mid-40s, or whether it's just because, I want something. I don't know. Do you know what? I'm gonna throw in the hat a car that's so different to the new Lamborghini. And I'm really keen to get behind the wheel of it. It's called a Pembleton T34. Now, it might have a T in the name, but it's nothing to do with Gordon Murray.
Pembleton T34?
Yeah, it's a British...
I didn't know about this.
Well, I got contacted by them, and I've become fascinated. They're a little cottage industry in Worcestershire, and they make...
T24, it says here. Is that right? Is there a new one?
Yeah, T24, yeah. That's the one, and it's a four. Yeah. They do a Morgan 3-wheeler kind of knockoff, but this T24 is a 4-wheeled, all aluminium, bare aluminium riveted bodied, narrow tired V-twin engined. I think it's well under
V-twin.
I think it's V-twin, and it's well under 400 keys. It might be even closer to 350 keys. It's
361 according to this.
Yeah, see what I mean? See,
shit the bed.
I know. So, although it's... Okay...
Did Gordon Murray tell you about this?
No, I told Gordon Murray about it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, Gordon, I've got some good lightness for you.
Yeah.
Got some lightness.
Oh, that's...
Here's something really light.
That's catnip.
That's very light. How shit have they done that? Because it's small, but clearly a human can fit in it because they've got a picture of... Unless they're deliberately using very small people in the car to make it like they did with the plane at the end of Casablanca. 33 grand plus VAT.
Yeah.
Power to weight ratio is up to 218 bhp per tonne. I bet that's quite a giggle to drive.
Exactly. And 200 litres of storage space. So actually...
Hang on.
Yeah.
Why is that? Does the gear lever sprout out of the dashboard like a 2CV?
Yes, I think it does. Or a Civic Type R, depending on what you compare it to. But yeah,
well, it's got a dog. It's got a right angle in it, like a 2CV or a Renault 4.
It does
a bit more like that, and then it disappears straight through the dashboard. So I'm going 2CV rather than.
So it's basically, I think you're going to get pre-war driving vibes on the thin tyres, which will probably have modern rubber composition. So it'll have some great feel to it and movement to it. Yeah. It should have a bit of torque from the engine. Weight
needs it though, because it only weighs like a shoe.
Yeah, it's got adjustable suspension. It's got enough storage to go away for a weekend and not just wear pants or go to an auto jumble and buy your own clothes and then burn them in a bin on the way home. And then it's got USB. So I'm just really.
It's got USB.
It's got twin USBs, so charging sockets. So of course, you
just got like a plug socket from a kitchen on it. It's got 3-pin as well, mate. Yeah. It's got. I like this. How to buy on their website. It says choosing the specification of your T24 four-wheeler can be a wholesome experience that we want you to be a part of.
Good.
I wish that said a wholesome experience of which we want you to be a part. But otherwise, so. Are you going to go and drive this?
Yes,
then? Is this
I am
on your radar?
Yeah. This is happening. So
Kidderminster, they're in Kiddie.
Yeah, Kiddie, mate. Maybe I'll come and pick you up. Not that far from your neck of the woods. Sweet. Do you want wear a cravat and I'll come round?
I'm footed by that because I always thought Worcestershire was just next door. My knowledge of this part of the country is really poor, and it turns out it's like when we went to Morgan. It's like 2 hours away, but this is interesting. Yeah, it took me ages to get to Morgan. I thought I could practically walk it, but I need to brush up on the West Country. Anyway, this is an interesting thing.
Yeah,
I mean, again, I don't. It seems a bit strange to be sort of going. I'm literally not interested in this new supercar, but honestly, I'm not. Whereas I've got a Kia Picanto coming in next week as a press car, and I can't wait.
Oh, is it the 1 litre turbo?
It is, yeah.
Oh, it's a howl. It's amazing.
The reason I've got it, well, I know you're a big Picanto fan, and the reason I've got it is actually because Kia said to the editor of Evo, so you've got a Panda 100 horsepower now back in your long-term test fleet. You should try the Picanto 1 litre turbo. It's the modern 100 horsepower.
Yeah.
And so I was a bit like, I'll be the judge of that. So they're lending me one so I can have a go in it. But I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. I know that probably means there's something wrong with me and you.
Well, I don't know.
We're both more interested in this stuff than in the new Lamborghini.
I think what it is, it's use. It's places you can use these things.
Yes.
Number one. And number two, I like to think the sign of a true vehicle enthusiast is that they've got a bit of a breadth of appreciation. Now, I know we've just said that after kind of not giving a massive amount of shits about the Aventador replacement. But if you liken it to, when I speak to like motorbike guys, like Shaky Byrne, who obviously has ridden every kind of high-end race bike thoroughbred you can think of, and to a very high standard, he still gets off on mopeds. He still loves a twist and go. Still loves a twist and go scooter, and yet he's used to manhandling a 300 horsepower motorcycle, and he's still going. Oh, I'll totally take a Yamaha DT50 that looks like you're riding a praying mantis. It's so thin, but there's something about it still. A chicken chaser still gives you that something, and it's the same with cars.
That's fantastic.
It's the same with cars.
That's great though. It is. It absolutely is. Well, anyway, listen. Next week. You'll have to report on the Auto Jumble.
Yes, I might have different hair next week. You won't see it because this is a podcast, but...
Oh, actually, I think I've got the Picanto the week after next, so I won't report on the Picanto next week. But anyway, but look, we should bring this to a close for now. Before we go, I have 3 things to tell you. They are one, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called the Delaminate Rake Show, in which he needlessly strips the handles of garden equipment into thin strips. If that helps your taste, there's the Late Break Show, which has got lots of excellent videos about cars and people who love cars, and including fabulous AMG Mercedes barn find. And what else have we got going on at the moment? Oh, soon some more Gordon Murray content.
Oh yeah, and by the time by the time you listen to this, you will be able to watch my 911 Dakar review.
Yes.
Which I hope you'll enjoy, and maybe you won't, but maybe you will.
Poorly man drives 911.
Yeah, powered by ibuprofen.
see last week's show. Oh shit, I forgot to. Oh, well, maybe I'll come back to it. But loads of messages. Jeez, we talk all about cars and no one gets in touch much. And then I say that ibuprofen's a bit of a scam if you go for the brand name stuff. And we've had loads of messages about that.
Oh, really?
I should have read these out. Yeah. I can't even begin. But including from doctors, and I'm going to very hastily try and find this now and probably not be able to dig it out, but we had from a pharmacist, Katie Maddock, who's one of our patrons. As a pharmacist, I hope the following information is useful. Brand name drugs such as Nurofen are often first to the market and the brand name is trademarked. However, the actual drug, ibuprofen in this case, is not trademarked. Instead, the drug company holds a patent on the drug for a number of years, allowing them to be the only sellers for a while, recouping the costs of discovery, development and testing, and then marketing. Once the patent's expired, any company can manufacture the generic drug, brackets ibuprofen, often very cheaply. The original manufacturers then rely on the reputation and name of the original brand, Nurofen in this case, to maintain sales, as this is what the public is used to.
Interesting.
Another trick is to slightly change the formulation, e.g. gel caps, and spin a story about it being more effective, thus enticing people to buy the inverted commas new formulation. I always tell people to buy the generic because, as Rich articulated so beautifully, it's the same shit in there. So there we go. That's an actual pharmacist telling us that. Thank you, Katie.
Katie, thank you very much.
Thank you to everybody else who got in touch to point out that, basically, that we were onto something there. Just get the generics. Anyway, so that will be, that's the second thing I've got to tell you is that ibuprofen, it's all basically the same shit. Not my words. The words of a pharmacist who agrees with me. And the third thing that I've got to tell you is that you probably, if you're a fan of the show Succession, you'll have noticed it's back on at the moment. A lot of the series is directed by a man called Mark Mylod, but he started his directing career directing Shooting Stars.
Really?
Yeah, so Succession, beautiful looking, very glossy, expensive drama show. There has a bit of comedy in as well. But yeah, a lot of it's directed by a bloke who started by directing Vic Reeves, Bob Mortimer going, Iranu. He also did The Royal Family, actually, as well. So
that's brilliant.
That's a good CV, isn't it?
That's brilliant. Oh, well,
there we go.
We better, as you would always say, we better bring this into land. Well, Richard's obviously got books that you need to buy.
Oh, yes,
if
those
you
as well. And Boring Car Trivia 4 will be coming along at some point this year. If you have any tip-offs about that, do get in touch. hello@smithandsniff.com. Likewise, anything you want to say to us, then use that address.
Oh, but, we're supposed to plug our merchandise, Richard.
Yes.
Aren't we?
We have merch. The merch shop is back up and running. The easiest way for you to find it would be to go to smithandsniff.com. Yes, we have a website, but we never mention that either because we're useless. But smithandsniff.com /merch, and that'll take you through to the Shopify shop. Have a little browse around the website as well. There's a few things on there. There's like a sort of frequently asked questions thing, and there's an OTSOP page and all sorts, and no one ever really seems to go there because we never mention it. But yeah, smithandsniff.com.
If we were
Smith and Sniff news.
So if we were an American pair of podcasters, all this would have been said in the first 15 seconds of you listening to it. But instead, it's had to wait over an hour.
Yeah, we would have mentioned it after we'd finished mumbling about bollock shaving equipment for 9 minutes because we're being paid to do it.
No, we're not mentioning it, but we want to say thank you to not Testiclay Shaving, but Car and Classic. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Car and Classic, for sponsoring us. No thanks to smoothsack.com, who we aren't sponsored by. Anyway, we really do have to stop, but we'll do this all again next week. Until then, goodbye.
Bye.
You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review. You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review. You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review.
Do you know what? The Pebbleton T24 sounds like a really smooth bag shaver.
I had a T20, but it
used to nick the base.
My knackers a couple of times. So now I've got ball guard technology on it.
So absolutely. I could go as close to any of it and I'm fine.
Yeah.
I could even get pissed and aggressively run it over my balloon knot and it'll be fine.
Yes, you can.